cordially welcome you to take a seat and enjoy the conversation around R&D hubs and creating R&D hubs in Abu Dhabi. We have a great panel with our portfolio companies, and we have a short video that is just going to highlight some of the best aspects of Abu Dhabi, and then we're going to have welcome remarks from our head of business development. So with that, we'll start our video, and then we'll have some brief welcome remarks. Thank you.
This is an invitation to your future, where you can turn opportunity into innovation, and innovation into long-term success. Where economic strength and stability provide business security. Where established infrastructure provides the foundation for success. Happiness is matched only by ambition. This is Abu Dhabi, where every day is a reminder to create the next. This is an invitation to your future today.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. How are you guys doing today? You guys okay? Still awake? Had your coffee? Good. Because you'll wanna focus on what's about to be shared today within this panel. It's a pleasure to welcome you all here and be in the presence of so many distinguished guests from the same field as Adio, especially here at AIM, where I have been struck by the ambition and collaborative mindset of the delegates, that I'm sure you'll agree will support FDI in Abu Dhabi as well as the countries you all represent. Abu Dhabi, the UAE capital, has many outstanding attributes that make it an attractive destination for companies all over the world. Investors are leveraging our strategic location at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and Africa, and our enabling business environment as a gateway for reaching global markets. The key stakeholders in Abu Dhabi, including ADIO, Abu Dhabi Investment Office, continues to put a lot of effort in simplifying the setup process, enhancing ease of doing business, and developing advanced physical and virtual infrastructure. ADIO continues to be the first contact point for ambitious companies looking to take advantage of the enormous range of investment opportunities. These investors are finding incredible value working with an entity who is catering to most, if not all, of their investment needs. In ADIO, this has been achieved through our rebate program focused on key sectors and deliverables, ADIO's innovation program, access to government-owned land through our Musataha program, our public-private partnership, PPP, which encourages long-term involvement of the private sector in the major infrastructure projects in the Emirates. And last but not least, leveraging our network within the Abu Dhabi ecosystem to find the right partners and programs to complement their growth and expansion strategies. As a result, ADIO is proud to have over 100 partners. We in ADIO believe in partnership and working together. Today, you'll hear from a small group of our portfolio companies doing incredible and great tech-enabled work across the industry. There are many other companies in ADIO portfolio increasingly working together as clients, collaborators, and ecosystem leaders. Innovation is at our core, with companies leading in R&D, forging academic relationships, and bringing global best practices to Abu Dhabi through their technologies. These are the stories that Abu Dhabi is very proud of, with new chapters being written all the time. We look forward to sharing best practices and learning from each other to help grow the world economy and provide the opportunity of our future generations to thrive and grow just as we are now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I would just like to invite the panelists to come and take your seats, and we'll begin the conversation. So if the panel can just sit, ideally in order, under your photo. All right. Thank you, everybody. So really to start the conversation, I think it's interesting to see even just the makeup of the panel and what a tremendous representation of what Abu Dhabi Inc. means. So here we have represented leaders across industry, innovation, government, and quasi-public agencies. So folks that are truly making the difference when it comes to innovation and actually being able to implement some of the R&D that is happening here in Abu Dhabi. So I'd like to first welcome all of you and ask if you could briefly introduce yourself, introduce your organization, and because we're talking about R&D, share just a hint of what you're working on inside of your entity when it comes to R&D. So start with yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. Test. It's working? Yeah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, it really gives me great pleasure to be here in this very interesting panel session. I mean, R&D is always something that is very dynamic, and therefore it's always an evolving, subject. So just a quick introduction. Myself, I'm Mansour Al-Marar. I'm Vice President of Industrial Business Development within Kizad Group. I've been with the group for over 12 years, and I've seen the evolvement of, Kizad going from just an industrial economic development into a much more wide spectrum array of sectors that we look at. And R&D, specifically speaking, for the last few years, has been at the heart of what we're trying to work out, because specifically when we talk about growth of new ventures and new technologies, it has to be driven through R&D. And inshallah, during this session, we'll give some examples how we worked out with different strategies through Abu Dhabi ecosystem, obviously driven by ADIO and other stakeholders. So happy to engage with you all and having a constructive session, inshallah.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi, Brittany.
Hello.
Thank you for the question. Okay, my name is Amir Al-Awadi. I'm the acting director at Masdar City Free Zone. And R&D and innovation is a very big part of what we do at Masdar. The whole ecosystem of Masdar City is set to help R&D. In fact, we have a cluster that's dedicated for businesses, right? And we have several of the businesses here also set up at Masdar. We work very closely with Kizad, as Mansour was just talking about. So yes, in a nutshell, that's what we do. I'll explain a little bit more when my time comes back around. Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Khalid Ben Hadi from Siemens Energy. I'm one out of 90,000 employees that we have worldwide. Innovation sits in the heart of our business, in our organization. We have survived for more than 170, and the success behind it is the innovation and the investment that we are doing behind. Definitely we cannot innovate on our own, so that's why we always believe in close partnership, and we always like to co-create with our partners. And I'm happy to be here, and I look forward for the discussions and to engage with you all. Thank you.
Hi everybody, Alex Alper, president of In Silico Medicine, and I'm heading the In Silico Medicine UAE site, located in Masdar city. At In Silico, we're discovering new medicines with the power of AI, and we're striving to extend healthy, productive longevity for everybody on the planet. And here we are working on integrating AI platform to enable pharma companies and academic institutions discover novel medicines at scale. Great to be here and looking forward to the discussion.
Good afternoon. I'm Fadi Sbeiti. I'm the general manager of AeroFarms AGX. AeroFarms is one of the leading companies in indoor vertical farming. And AeroFarm AGX is the largest facility dedicated for indoor vertical farming research and development. And it's based in Musafah in Abu Dhabi. We're mainly researching two dimensions for indoor vertical farming: the plant science and the seeds and everything that goes with that. And on the other end, the enabling technologies from machine vision to drone flights to robotics. Hopefully this platform will give us a chance to talk more about these.
Yeah, excellent. So there's really a diversity in industry on stage when it comes to energy, life sciences, agriculture, and those are very different industries to innovate within. So I'm curious, and I believe probably folks here are curious, what makes Abu Dhabi a compelling market to conduct this R&D in? Are you seeing the development of an ecosystem around you? And for folks like ourselves that are on the government and platform side, how can we further support the development of these R&D hubs? And being in different industries, I think you would have probably different experiences in this process. So I'd say, Fadi, we'll do the reverse. We'll start with yourself and then move back to the three of you guys.
Sure. So our journey in Abu Dhabi has been, of course, nothing is perfect. If you're in business and you do things, you will face some hassles and some hiccups. But in general, the solid part in Abu Dhabi, or the attraction of Abu Dhabi, is the social economic infrastructure of the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, the access to government entities, and this is mainly facilitated by ADIO. And thirdly, it's the accessibility to diverse international talent. Being an American company, our talent, or our pool, was mainly the states around our facilities and our farms. Being in Abu Dhabi, we managed to attract people from all around the world. We have 11 different nationalities, different scientists' backgrounds, different philosophies and approaches to growing plants and to plant science. So these are the two major things that worked for us in Abu Dhabi.
Well, in our case, we set up here because of like numerous benefits for AI player working in life science industry here. We view this not as like Middle East, but Middle Earth. It is so geographically blessed. And in terms of like location, logistics, you can cover many time zones being located in Abu Dhabi. And also, we work closely with China, and we're just 7 hours away from China, where we manufacture our medicines. So we can embrace the Apple model, designed in California, made in China, and we can do the same here. We can design in UAE and make it in China when it comes to medicines. So we think that UAE holds like a lot of potential, and it is a perfect, and Abu Dhabi in particular is a perfect gateway for talented people to come into the region and invent, innovate at scale.
I think from Siemens Energy perspective, the way that we evaluate and look at things is the infrastructure. Do we have the right infrastructure? Do we have accessibilities? Do we have the sectors? Do we have the right partners? Do we have the investments? And when we talk about innovation, we don't look at it from a country, so we look into create a hub. So I think the way that we see Abu Dhabi has very much advanced in the ecosystem. And to have innovation, you need talents. You need talents in the pipelines. You need diversities. You need sectors because innovation is about solving a problem. It's about, you need sectors. You need to co-create with your customers. And I think it has been a quite exciting journey for us to be here and to establish our global innovation center here and to work with our partners like Masdar, for an example, and others, which I will talk later about it. So definitely you will need an ecosystem that can complement your innovation. So talent is very important, accessibility, logistics, investments, sectors, and co-create, because when we talk about innovation, you want to have applied innovation, tangible results, and that's what we are seeing here in Abu Dhabi.
That's tremendous. So just to reiterate, I think the trend is talent, accessibility, and then it sounds like industrialization and infrastructure. And I think Masdar is really the perfect partner to discuss that and what that means.
Yeah, definitely, Brittany. I mean, my two colleagues here are set up at Masdar City. So, for example, we try and provide a platform for them. Just like my colleagues over at Kizad, who try to make a platform for heavy industries, we try and make a platform for innovation, right? Sustainability. This is our bread and butter. This is what we're trying to push forward. Obviously, as you know, the UAE is trying to move away from fossil fuels to a knowledge-based economy. There's a lot I can mention here. I'm trying to get it all in a nutshell for you guys. 6 square kilometers of real estate we have, of which we have, for example, certain members, such as in Silico, such as Siemens, taking up space there. What we try and do is we try and make the ecosystem for all the companies that set up at Masdar as convenient as possible for them. This is from the registration process, from the leasing, licensing. We work closely with ADRO, Abu Dhabi Residence Office, for example, to try and make the visa process for them easy. All of these things are very important as to set Abu Dhabi as a hub for people that come from outside and want to invest in the country. So, yeah, this is just one of the many few things that we put in place for partners that come and set up.
Perfect. Excuse me. And then from the Kizad side, I think we discuss on a very frequent basis with companies that are coming in, looking at Kizad as really an ideal place to set up their business, and especially if they need a ton of physical space. There's a lot of work that's happening there on companies that are industrial, global, and continually to grow locally. If you could share a bit more about some of the R&D that's happening at Kizad, that'd be great.
Definitely. I recall a few years back when we started, the engagement with Abu Dhabi ecosystem on the emphasis of how we can grow specific sectors that we are lacking trajectory growth within Abu Dhabi. And one of the main feedback that we came back with is basically that R&D can not only be a foundation for overcoming challenges, but also a foundation to really create opportunities for growth in sector that has been always untapped within Abu Dhabi ecosystem. Things similar to the food, life sciences, pharma, and these new industries. Now, of course, COVID have accelerated the process to really make it grow faster. But we were also at the forefront of really establishing the right infrastructure and the right ecosystem to host these new sectors, to base themselves in Abu Dhabi and grow from there. And that was also supported heavily by the Abu Dhabi ecosystem through different financial and non-financial incentive packages. And I think the example of our colleagues from Aerofarm is a really clear example of how we're positioning Abu Dhabi as a hub for advanced agriculture. And we have many more examples that we're talking about. Now we are also in Kizad are moving very hard in terms of creating hub for life sciences. We're bringing best-in-class expertise to come and establish R&D labs specifically to overcome challenges that are mainly driven in the medical sector and others. And that's part of our overall life sciences hub that we are creating within Abu Dhabi.
Great, thank you. So this is a question to the whole panel, and we'll go popcorn style. So if you want to answer, just jump right in. And in the development of either a company or an ecosystem, how important are international connections? So as an ecosystem like Abu Dhabi, the fact that it might be connected with the US or China or Korea or other parts of Europe, how important is that, one, for a platform like Kizad or Masdar, or for your company? Was that important for yourselves when looking at why you would enter a market like Abu Dhabi? So in the terms of development.
Sure.
Yeah.
Brittany, I think it's very important. I mean, again, knowledge doesn't just belong to one individual, right? Knowledge is shared. So if one part of the globe has a specific knowledge that can benefit the other, we have to grab that. That's something that we have to take advantage of, right? So when we work closely, for example, with ADIO to make that connection happen, that's what's taking place, a transfer of knowledge, right? So when you have the minds coming together, working together, that's how you can have progress taking place. One of the important things that we try and push, for example, is we work closely with the Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence. We are pushing knowledge-based as much as we can. That is something we're putting at the forefront of what we do to try and move things forward. So so I definitely think that we must maintain relations with our global partners to try and further grow. Because in the end, if you think about it, it's one globe, right? It's one world. So we have to try and share that, act as a blueprint for others to try and use in their ecosystem as well. In the end, we always say, live, work, play, and learn. That's what we do in Masdar City. So, yeah.
I'm happy.
So for us at AeroFarms, the selection of Abu Dhabi was more of a strategic focus on the GCC and the wider Middle East. So with all the trends in the world, from climate change to restrictions on the carbon footprint, all the issues that are happening on the planet in terms of the food sourcing, this region will be affected the most. Hence, we started with an R&D center focused on the Middle East issues, GCC farmers, and hopefully, in fact, this is what's happening actually. We are the hub for the entire region. As we expand further into Qatar and Saudi, our hub for R&D will always be Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. Let me give you a concrete example. So in Siemens Energy, we have 4 global innovation centers, and the 4th one we have placed it in Abu Dhabi in partnership with IDEO. So this innovation center will not only focus on the UAE, it will focus on the globe. Specific technology will be allocated here. And if you look at the UAE strategy, it's how you build a knowledge-based economy. And the only way to do it is through partnership, where you bring partners from all over the globe, place them here, bring the best minds together, and how you can also develop technologies that can also serve the globe requirements. So for us, for an example, we're looking to have artificial intelligence, the green hydrogen, blockchain, and many, many more. And of course, those kind of technology needs to be defined with your partners, with your customers. I cannot build something which the end user will say, I don't need it. As I mentioned earlier, innovation is about solving a problem. So for us, when we understand the challenges where our partners going through, we can work jointly, how we build technologies locally. And I like the fact that we're working very closely with our partners from Taqa, from ADNOC, from ADIO, from all the ecosystems that we have in terms of accessibilities, in terms of piloting. And also we're working very closely with universities, because we cannot just work on a professional level. We need the talents, we need the academia, we need to build future talents that will take over specific technologies that will be developed in the future. So I think for us, the fact that we have a global network with universities, with other partners, we are also looking to bring them here, locally here. And also to have Abu Dhabi as our global hub for the US, for China, for Europe, for also the region. And we've seen this model becoming very successful in terms of reaching out, in terms of logistics-wise, in terms of industries. We see we are playing in the energy transitions, and we're talking about the net zero and how technology is going to contribute to that. And you will need strong investment in technologies. Today, if we look at the technologies, 45% of the technology is not ready to meet the net zero. It requires heavy investments. Investment will come from here for sure. And that's what we are seeing. So working in a close cooperation and partnership and one common goal will make us succeed.
Amazing.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, a couple of points here. I think transfer of knowledge is one of the main key, drivers we're focusing on. And if you see also all of the incentive, packages that, Abu Dhabi or the UX system is providing, a big criteria is transfer of knowledge. Now, if we look at the ecosystem existing, for example, in Kiza today, we have, over 1,500 companies coming from more than 75 countries. So we have a very wide, range of portfolio of companies based within Abu Dhabi. And one of the main value proposition when we try and go out and attract also investments in Abu Dhabi is they look at what exists today so that they can integrate with the ecosystem. In addition to the fact that also Abu Dhabi and the UAE in general is also very integrated with the global economy through major, partnership agreement, bilateral agreement with many countries, enabling a lot of share of knowledge transfer, trade, and a lot of barrier removals. That's a key aspect of also, attracting investments here. And access to talent, again, this is a major, major obstacle when people come and look at this region. And what we're trying to do here is basically not only attract talent, but maintaining talent and growing that talent. That's a major aspect we're working on. So that's one thing fundamental I wanted to highlight in this.
Thank you for that. I think yourself, you mentioned the Mohammed bin Zayed AI University, and seeing some of this homegrown talent really at a leadership and executive level in the graduate programs and now the forthcoming PhD program is really important for the development of these R&D centers and the ability for this research to happen. We have a company called IDI that's part of our crowd, and they actually made, I think it was their first 2 or 3 hires directly from the graduating class of the Mohammed bin Zayed AI University. So I think seeing that talent be able to jump right into a role where they're putting their learning into practice is critical. And part of that, in terms of putting knowledge into practice and looking at where AI stands across all of these industries, and the news being all about ChatGPT, where do you see AI in terms of being able to inform your R&D as individuals in terms of the entities or the companies? And do you see any risks associated with that in terms of the veracity of the research or the ability to implement something in a protocol efficient way that might be a digital source or a human source, and what's the difference? I'm going to go in silico.
Maybe I can go first. Yeah, AI is at the core of everything we're doing. Mm-hmm. So our core platform called Pharma.ai is fueling our internal pipeline, which currently has over 30 therapeutic programs. Each one of those has a potential to become a medicine, but also hundreds of partnerships we have with academia, with biopharma companies. So we think that AI is truly transformational. Just last year, we nominated 9 preclinical candidates, potential medicines which were about to enter human clinical trials. Usually big pharma performs at a level of 4 to 5 preclinical candidates. So we see that AI immediately benefits us and allows us to discover more innovative medicines, leveraging its power. So I think that AI, at least in biopharma space, should be embraced. There is no downside of using AI in our industry, only benefits. And of course, we pay extra attention to AI-derived data and quality of that data with the advent of generative AI, which we actually initiated back in 2016, where we first invented the field of generative chemistry and then generative biology. We see that with advent of generative AI, you have to be extra careful with quality control of the data. And annotation quality. But I think in terms of AI benefits, they are overwhelming, at least in the life science industry. In other areas, you have to be more cautious and careful implementing AI solutions. But in our space, we see only benefits.
Amazing. Only benefits.
AI. I'll tell you something funny. So when we mention AI, everyone's like, you can see the impression of their face, like they feel threatened. But the reality is AI did exist, but it has developed, okay? If I take the oil and gas industry, the automation, so the oil and gas sector and the field in general, they sit in a huge amount of data. And the question is, what do you do with that data? So you need AI, okay, to take that data, to extract, to filter, to see what can be done. And they have noticed that with that data, okay, and having AI, we can be in a better position to predict, to make quick decisions, to be efficient and productive. Okay, so definitely AI is very important in terms of efficiency, in terms of time, in terms of productivities, but it doesn't mean the jobs will be disappeared and we will rely 100% in AI. Definitely their job will be gone, but their new jobs will be created. Can we rely 100%? No, definitely we cannot. We need also the human elements. So quality, as you mentioned, is very important, how we maintain the quality of the work, the quality of the data, the quality of the decisions that we make. But we use AI as an element to support us to be more efficient, more productive, and also hopefully in the future, what we are reading in the news, that things will continue to develop. Like how it was 20 years, 30 years back, AI exists and it will continue to be here, and also the next 50 years. But that's something, definitely a space that we are looking deeply into it, we are investing, and also we are working very closely with Mohammed bin Zayed Artificial Intelligence University.
Great. Badi?
Yep, I wanted to highlight the technology-intensive field of vertical farming. So we do use AI in our current farms, and this is mainly to monitor the growth and to track any pathogens, any infestation in an in-time manner. So, but this is not the only game. So as we go into fruiting crops in indoor vertical farming, which is the second stage, we're going to be relying further and more on technology and more specifically on AI. Hence, we're still in discussions with local universities and with local institutions like TII, NYU, Abu Dhabi University of UAE, University in Al Ain, to develop those models to deal with future fruiting crops and apply those machine vision AI metrics on them.
Amazing. It sounds like you're doing a lot of work, not just within academia, but with different universities and kind of targeting the folks for what that looks like they could do inside of your business. Are you finding that there's an ability for students to activate very quickly once they're working on a project, or is it still very regimented in terms of application?
Look, if we're speaking about PhDs or postgraduate, yes, we can find that. But for the undergraduates, the curriculums did not move fast enough to catch up with those trends yet.
Yeah, well, I think that's an undergraduate challenge I think we probably all faced, and I think we're seeing an influx in internships here now in tech, and I think that'll be something that activates quickly once they graduate. So we are approaching time shortly, so I wanted to make sure that we were able to accomplish sharing all of your thoughts and as individuals. So is there something specific you want to dive into, or should we jump to I have two other questions, but if there's something that you want to dive into, I want to open the floor for that.
I'm happy to share a few things. We're quite privileged and honored to be in Abu Dhabi. Can you hear me?
No.
So we're quite honored and privileged to be in Abu Dhabi and to establish our fourth global innovation hub in Abu Dhabi. And before coming here, we were discussing with Kizad to establish a green hydrogen hub. So this is one good example, and we're looking to develop that with our partners and how we can, from the green hydrogen, to produce green ammonia. So positioning Abu Dhabi to become the green hydrogen hub. Another good example, we have signed an cooperation agreement with Hub 71, where we support and work closely with startups in the energy space. Again, we cannot do it on our own. We need to support the startups. We need to help them how to scale it. We, as a global company, we have accessibilities, we have advantages, we understand how to scale up businesses and even on a commercial basis. So that's something we are working very closely with Hub 71. We're also working very closely with Masdar. We have signed an agreement in terms of how we develop e-fuels to support the aviation sector. So there is many good examples. We also have signed a cooperation with Khalifa University to use Khalifa University as a hub to train and build talents pipelines where eventually they can join us in the future. We're also signed a close cooperation agreement with ADNOC to support them in the innovation space. Again, there is many good examples. What I want to say that we are very much blessed and to have good partners, to be in a space where also to serve the region and the globe. Thank you.
Amazing traction in, I think, 6 months of after the Innovation Center was announced in November. So, congratulations.
And I can tell everyone, this is only the beginning. There is
Excellent.
more to come.
Fantastic. So my final question for conversation is to the panel, and we'll go kind of in order how we started, but it's about the future of R&D in Abu Dhabi and what that looks like. So in 10 years' time, what will folks be working on? How will the ecosystem have evolved? I think Siemens will have a very strong contribution to that. But looking 10 years back, a lot of the work that's happening at Hub 71 certainly hadn't started, the innovation programs, the startup programs, the investments that are coming through now. So what does the future of R&D look like inside of your institutions, but then also in terms of the markets and the industry? What does it look like in Abu Dhabi?
I think one thing important to highlight here is also Abu Dhabi and the UAE in general is looking forward to be also an export-oriented country, and with that ambitions, you have to be ahead of the curve. You cannot just follow the traditional way of either providing products or services, and the only way to do this is through R&D. There is no other way around it. You need to always look into improving. Supplying markets with new initiatives. Today, our colleagues mentioned, a big drive for new and alternative energy solutions driven by hydrogen and other also products. But also when we talk about the industry itself, even traditional industries are evolving and emerging. Giving an example, for example, within the aluminium industry. Today, aluminium are going through a transformation where they are really not only improving the quality, but becoming more of green-driven products, supplying major producers. Yesterday, I saw an advertisement through one of these social platforms, and there was, this new BMW 7 Series, and the message was there, aluminium, supplied from our markets, referring to our markets here in the GCC. That's mainly driven through a lot of improvement in the technology. These industries, when they were established 20, 30 years back, they were basically a technology transferred from major export hubs such as Europe and America. The technologies has evolved over time and were driven from in-house R&D that was developed. So EGA, Lyon, Emirates Global Aluminium is exporting new technologies in different hubs in the region. And similarly, it applies to various industries. Now, today, for example, the steel industry is going through also a huge transformation where they want to become much more environmental friendly, green. And this can be only driven through, artificial intelligence, much more, addressing the challenges that are facing the environment through different CO2 capture programs, and many others. So I think the growth and the plan that Abu Dhabi and the UAE in general has over the next 10, 15, 20 years, R&D will stay at the heart of it and is the main engine driver for it.
Excellent.
Yeah, in basically complement to what my colleague Mansour was saying as well, R&D is definitely something that's going to be is huge for the UAE, for Abu Dhabi, and for Masdar as well. Obviously, we have several entities that are as foreign direct investment entities, such as the free zones that we have. Each one is focusing on their sector. For our sector, we have obviously future, sustainability, innovation, energy. However, we've also dedicated a section towards the pure study for R&D in Masdar itself. So for example, we have clients that are set up of the 1,000 companies that we have and actually utilize the plots for test beds to show that proof of concept works before they go out into the market and actually start getting investment and growing their concept. So R&D is definitely something huge with us. We have the institutes which have their own R&D. Obviously, we have tenants that do research within their spectrum as well. So the licenses, for example, that we set in place, the activities that we set in place, all of these things have been set so it can promote the concept of R&D in Abu Dhabi. So we definitely, it's something we live and breathe. It's part of our DNA, I would say. And yeah, in a nutshell.
Tremendous.
Thank you.
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, so innovation is the heart of our business, and we will continue to invest in innovation. If I take Siemens Energy, we invest €1 billion annually on innovation. It shows you how serious we are. It shows you the importance of innovation. And if you look at Abu Dhabi, has set the right foundation, okay, not for us to be there, to attract also others to be there. We cannot do it on our own, so we will require to work with other partners. We want to co-create with our partners, like Masdar, like ADNOC, like the utilities. And what I can tell with full of confidence that the Abu Dhabi strategy is very clear, focusing on the R&D. They are investing heavily on R&D. They are also setting a clear directions for the R&D and innovation, which also builds confidence for us. So what Abu Dhabi is looking to do is to export technology and knowledge. So it's no longer about just, I want to attract companies and to build knowledge-based economy and so on. No, it's beyond than that. So we're looking to compete on a global scale. And to be honest, this is in line with our global Siemens Energy strategy. And that's one of the reasons also we are placed in here, because we want to become a global innovation hub. And innovation will continue to develop, and we will be there. We will continue to work with our partners, and we want to shift from an R&D mindset, from a research-based papers to applied innovations, and that's what we are doing with our partners. We want to pilot projects. We want to test. Definitely, we will have failures. Okay, we need to go back. We need to evaluate, and the more that we pilot, the more that we will learn, the more that we can develop locally. It doesn't make sense for us to be a little bit sit in the back seat and is this a proven pilot or not? Pilot is meant to be tested, so we need to test. And that's what we are going forward. And that's also what we are seeing with our partners. Their mindset is shifting. They are willing to have pilots. They are willing to take risk. Innovation is also about risk. You need to take risk. Nothing will be guaranteed. But what will be guaranteed is that we need to come back. We need to continue to invest in the R&D. We need to continue to pilot. We need to continue to scale up. And that's the only way that we can become a technology exporter. Thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah. Abu Dhabi is already moving at a very high velocity, and it is accelerating, right? So it's really hard to lay out a 10-year horizon projections for the R&D development. But maybe I can just share one aspiration that we have. So to date, there have been no novel medicines developed in the region, zero. So the novel drug discovery is stationed in city of Basel, in Boston, in US, and some in Japan and in China. So our aspiration is to leverage the power of AI to discover or contribute to the discovery of a novel medicine here in the region. And we're really hopeful that we can leverage the global network that we have as a global company being stationed here and our AI platform to achieve that. And yeah, that's our aspiration. And inshallah, we'll be able to discover some novel medicines that would be useful here locally and would be designed here locally as well.
That's amazing. And there'll be patient outcomes from that. That's incredible. Yeah. And then Fadi, our last comment of the day.
Yep. So the nature of knowledge and know-how, it's cumulative. So it takes time to build the know-how, the expertise, so that you could reach certain innovations and certain breakthroughs. And in terms of agriculture, I guess and I can observe that Abu Dhabi is not trying to start from scratch with the previous methods. So they're trying to acquire the up-to-date technologies, up-to-date know-how and knowledge and bring this to Abu Dhabi. So starting from here, within 10 years, I feel we are aligned with the ADIO strategy as Aerofarms, and we're aligned also with the National Strategy for Food Security, which has a target for 11 critical crops where the UAE is seeking very high levels of self-sufficiency, let's say, and its impact on food security. And our research is aligned with those targets, with those mandates. Hopefully, the know-how that our scientists started a couple of years ago, over the next 10 years, it would have gone into leaps of innovation and revolutionized the agricultural environment in this part of the world, which has always been very arid, very drought based, lots of salinity. So there's lots of natural issues that prohibits the evolution of farming and agriculture. And part of our mandate is not only look into the indoor vertical farming, so the platform in Abu Dhabi, it's wider than the indoor vertical farming, and it's tackling the issues of traditional farming, net houses, greenhouses, all the different variables of agriculture, as long as it could produce and contribute to the food security of the region.
Amazing. Well, thank you all for joining our conversation this morning. I think in terms of the future of R&D in Abu Dhabi, all positive thoughts, strong confidence from AI to life sciences, to clean energy, agriculture, and we're looking forward to seeing certainly these companies flourish and the future innovations that are coming out of your centers. So thank you all for joining this conversation, and thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.